Yo, welcome back to another video here on my YouTube channel. My name is Sebastian Lemke, aka LampyYGO, and you may know me because I'm a regular European YCS caster, and I will also, for example, be casting the European Championship happening next weekend. But the topic of this video is going to be the North American Remote Duel YCS. First of all, we're going to talk about the general representation in top 32, and afterwards we're going to look into specific deck lists that I have gathered for the event. If you like this type of content, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like to the video, and leave a comment below as well, telling me what you think about those decks. But let's get into the breakdown. 32 decks that made it into Top Cut, and 8 of them were Kashtira decks. And I've gotten some feedback on Twitter and somewhere else, being like, hey, before the list, Kashtira was the best deck, it's still super strong, it's still the highest representation, what did the list even do? But honestly, yes, 25% of the players used Kashtira on Top Cut. But 25%, isn't that a super healthy number? To me, that looks totally fine. We're far away from being in a tier 0 format. It is definitely still a good deck, but it's just 1/4 of the decks being Kashtira, so that's absolutely fine. I mean, people get bored of a deck at some point because the deck doesn't really change that much necessarily, but I'm totally down with it being 25%, and I'm not against it. Behind that, we have a rising star in there. We have Dragon Link, actually with 5 people piloting it in top 32, which is a pretty high number to me. Yes, they do get some support now with the Battle of Legends set, because Assault Synchron might be splashed into this deck, and also the new spell cards are kind of spicy. But just in general, I think Bestials are in a pretty good spot again this format, because they are pretty good versus the Live-Twin Evil Twin deck, and also versus Labyrinth they are kind of decent. So Dragon Link seems to be like a good pick, and I mean, they proved it by running very deep in this tournament too. Then another very interesting and surprising number to me is Free Fluandereeze decks. I did not expect them to be that good. First out the Swiss was Fluandereeze, and that may be a sign. Maybe Fluandereeze is on the rise. Maybe that is also a very high or very good contender for Euros, for North American Continentals. Who knows? Then we have Free Runic for Hire Sprite, being the best Runic deck for this event, and as you can already see, there is no Runic Live-Twin Sprite, so I'm super surprised by that, because that was like the deck for German nationals. Most of the people in Top Cut played that, and now all of a sudden it is not even in here at all. But Free Runic for Hire Sprite, maybe because of the success of Dragon Link and Bestials in general. Bestials hurt the Runic Live-Twin Sprite deck a lot, and therefore their success was not there, and rather Runic for Hire Sprite was running deep. Double Rika Son of a Long, I'm not surprised by that, and now all the one-offs. Branded, sure. Adventure Melfi Sprite, sure. Labyrinth, I would have expected this number to be a lot higher, especially after the success of Din Kabuya German Nationals, but it's only one. One Vanquish Soul, I think this number will be rising in the future as well. One Pearly is certainly surprising. One Super Heavy Samurai, one Tier, one Striker. Love to all the Striker lovers out there. We are going to look at that list for sure. One Plunder Adventurer, one Ignista Mathmech, and one Axo Sister. Spoiler alert, you probably already know it anyways. Axo Sister took down the entire event. I don't know how, but we're going to look at the list as well. But let's start off with one of my favorite decks of all time. Yes, it is even the favorite deck of all time for me personally. It is Sky Strikers. And Sky Strikers made it all the way into top 16 of the tournament. And as you can see, it is a blind second approach with Lightning Storms, Frosts, Feather Duster, and all that kind of stuff in there. I think the main deck for nowadays Striker is kind of standard. The main issue for the deck, of course, still being Dimension Shifter and the Rise Sword, but they do have some ways to take care of that. What I think is interesting is that there's only one Rose, but I think in going second Striker, you kind of have to go that route. But the more interesting part is the side deck, because we are siding hardcore for going first. I think, and I also saw his deck profile, he expects his opponents to send him first a decent bunch, because this deck generally doesn't do that much going first. But if we side in Dimensional Barrier and Spiritual Water Art Aoi, which is like the most crazy card in the side deck, tribute 1 water to rip 1 card out of the opponent's hand, like with Pseudo Appointer, that's really strong. And especially the Ruma Cannon is like wild, because this deck can be a blowout trap versus so many different decks. And having additional access to all of those traps with Trap Trick is really nice. Sky Striker, I don't know whether they're like a top contender, probably not, but I like seeing some Striker success in the event. Next up, as I said, a lot of Fluanderies, 3 in total topped the event, and it was like one of the most impressive showings of the tournament. And this list made it all the way to top 8, and it featured Offerings to the Doomed. Triple Offerings to the Doomed, kind of surprising, kind of an interesting tech card. We saw Striker players tacking this card back in the day. For example, Ryan, you did that when he had that really deep run with his Striker deck all the way until the finals. But now this card is being played in Fluanderies as well. Very, very interesting. Huge success for him going all the way into top 8. The rest of the list is pretty standard, nothing extraordinary. We are playing the CMOG package, but that is also like definitely known, is no surprise or anything. So maybe the triple Empen is somewhat surprising too. I will give you that, but this is a very, very interesting Fluanderies list with the Offerings to the Doomed getting all the way into top 8. Next up, another deck from top 8. Shoutouts to Trish, shoutouts to Michael Thomas, who piloted this 46 Dragon Link Bestial deck. And yeah, as you can see, just basically maxing out on almost all of the Bestials. I mean, there's only one Baldrake, but besides that, a bunch of... Oh, wait, I mean, there's also only one Druid Swarm, but like a bunch of Bestials. We have triple Lubalion, one Druid, double Saronir, triple Magnamoot, and then one Baldrake as well. And like, these cards are not only good versus a lot of decks at the moment, but also they're just good as part of the engine in this deck. And nowadays, Bestial Disparter is just such a crazy card. I mean, it has Bestial in its name, and therefore in a deck with a high amount of Bestials, it works even better. I think Dragon Link definitely a really, really, really cool contender for the upcoming meta game. Branded Regain makes this deck grind game incredibly good, so you should definitely consider playing D-Link, and you should definitely be prepared for D-Link in the upcoming weeks. Next up, top 4 Pearly. Very, very interesting, because at German Nationals, we saw that Pearly was being played as a Go Second deck. And yes, we do have a couple of Go Second cards in here. But overall, from what I've heard, this was played as a Go First variant. So we were just going for the X-Pearly Noir setup most of the time if we could acquire it. And that had to be enough. Honestly, I am somewhat surprised by that, because I also saw a bunch of big names being on the deck. And I'm kind of... maybe thinking this was somewhat of a bait. Maybe they wanted you to think that this is like a really good pick and that they're going to be on this deck for Continentals. But this is like a little bit of a trick. I mean, still, he made it all the way into top 4 of the event, so it can't be that bad. But I don't really think Pearly is in that good of a state right now. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Next up, winner of the YCS, as I told you, Axo Sister. Featuring the Sakitama and Aratama package, which I really like, because this is a normal summon extender, which also gets you into full Exorcista combo by not conflicting with the Martha special summoning restriction. Double Dimension Shifter is kind of interesting. I saw the deck profile. He was like, yeah, I kept on bricking on Dimension Shifters. I was always drawing 2 and so on, and that wasn't really appreciated, so I only wanted to play 2. Also, his explanation for playing a bunch of the power cards as 2-offs is Pot of Prosperity. With Pot of Prosperity, you're just regularly going to see your 2-offs because you're digging out 6 cards from your deck, so you should be fine just running double Dark Ruler, double Book of Moon. And yeah, huge success. He told us that his matchup into Runic deck specifically is really good, so maybe Axo Sister actually, if it is piloted by the right people, a top meta contender? Let me know in the comments, because I completely disregarded this deck. I didn't think it would perform at all, but here it is winning a YCS, so I don't really know what to think anymore. Last but not least, the deck the Axo Sister player Steven Santoli defeated in the finals. Liam from the UK, or Liam rather, piloted this 60-card Marthmech Ignister deck into the finals of the event. And there are some cards in there that you don't very regularly see. There's like the Cyber's Ritual package. There's Synod Rollback. And also like a very big amount of going second cards. So the Marthmech package is actually like really slow, really small. But I mean, you get into your Mathmech package with other parts of the deck. You can just overlay all the time for rank 4, go for the Alembertian, search out the Circular. So it being a one-off isn't that hurtful. But I mean, this is just pure madness. 60 cards. People are not really on Kaijus anymore, so they maybe can't out a rival anymore. Still a super crazy list. I was hella confused when I heard that this deck is in the finals. Joshua Schmidt must be in shambles seeing this. But yeah, all around a YCS where nobody could really tell whether that was an accurate look into the meta game or whether that just was a lot of people hiding what they're actually going to bring into the big tournaments coming up, being the European Championship, being the North American Continentals. So let me know, guys, what you think about all that in the comments. Do you think those were some actual decks that could be performing well at Euros 2? Is that somewhat of a bait YCS? At the end of the day, Steven Santoli with Exosister is now YCS champion, so shoutouts to him. Exosister being a 2-time YCS champion deck now. What can you do? Definitely make sure to, as I said, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and see you very soon for more content here on the channel. LampyYGO signing out.